Hello, everyone. Good morning in Nigeria, where I am. Good afternoon in India, I think. And good evening in Australia, where my guest is. My name is Enya Epele, and I am a mind coach. My niche is in personal development and mind mastery. And Mr. David Nair, I hope he'll, if I didn't get it right, I believe that when he comes on, he will correct me. But if I am right, David Nair, whom I will be interviewing today, is an author, a corporate trainer, peak personal excellence coach, and a mentor to many. His definite major purpose is to create a mindset, heart set, and soul set shift in 1 million minds. Wow. And the next generation to step up their lifestyle and stretch that little more in each of us. And I can tell you that is happening to me since I've been mentored by him, and to thereby contributing towards a better world for all of us and generations to come. So I have the opportunity of being on 2 of his masterminds, and the benefits of being under his mentoring has been phenomenal. So he is the brain behind the book, Grial, Tick Your Life Right with Purpose, which stands out among other books that he has written because it is an anthology of 42 global influencers from 4 continents on their quest for purpose. So this book has 3 distinct themes, which are strength, passion, and clarity, and is in its 2nd edition. And that's where I am a part. And it will be launched in the next few weeks. So each chapter is a journey of an individual's discovery of purpose, including mine, and what it took for us all to get there. So now may I introduce Mr. David Nair.
Hi, Enya, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? You're looking as dapper and
That's very
debonair
good.
as
I'm so happy to be here.
and it's
I'm
amazing to
really
be with
happy to
you.
be here. I wanted to sort of, I'm sorry.
I said it's also great for me to be with you at this time.
Thank you. Thank you. Great pleasure.
Yes, sir.
And
So I just
what made you decide to do something like this?
Oh, I love getting to know people. And I think one of the
Right.
greatest ways is through conversations like this. And that's how
Yeah.
I like to build friendships. And it's just I'm kind of I know it's not in my personality, but I have found out, I mean, working with you now, and I found out that you just have to take that, make that push.
Yeah, I have a saying that I keep saying, you take the bull by its horns and you just go bang. And what happens when you do something like that is you break through. You break through a lot of barriers and it breaks your comfort zone, and you're on the other side looking back and saying, that was easy. What was I afraid about?
Exactly. 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 So I know that you are, I mean, I read your profile and I know that you are into the people business. I heard you say you have mentored about what, 300,000 people?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. You will see how that happened. Yeah. Um, and obviously your question is, how come I got into the people industry? That's what you're
Exactly.
going to ask me, right?
Exactly.
How does an accountant, a chartered accountant, get into something like that? I'm a certified practicing accountant. How does somebody like that get into the people business? A very simple question and a great answer I'm going to give you. I was bored, sick and tired of what I was doing. Firstly. Secondly, I used to do a lot of what we call mergers and consolidations. And what that means is you go into a company and you buy, let's say in India, there's a very common company called Tata. You buy a company called Tata, you buy a company called Birla, and you put it together, and that's called mergers and consolidations. Now, that's the area of work I used to do. Whenever you merge 2 companies, what comes out of that is a lot of impact to people. People lose jobs, people get frustrated, people want to move on. So that I probably had a little bit of an innate skill to talk with people. So most of those companies used to ask me, hey, David, can you come and help us with this area of work? My main prime area, though I was qualified as an accountant, I'm a corporate strategist. So I look at problems of a company like a doctor and then go and fix it. So I used to go there and do this work on developing people, talk to them, what's the problem, how can they transform them, how can we move them up to another organization, whatever. And that got me buzzed up. I really got excited, and I get such a passion when I see that, as opposed to sitting down and doing accounts, debit, credit, what are the financial returns. That never turned me on, okay? But I did it. So from that, I got into people industry. Now, when I got into people industry, this is the thing that is so vital, and we will talk further on it shortly. Many do not have a purpose. When I looked at myself, I was very lucky, as many of the people that lived and worked with me know. I had a coach from the time I was 14 years old, because I started my first business at 14. And through that, I got the idea that I needed to have a vision, mission, core value, like companies are. So I evolved a statement of mine, or developed a purpose of mine. And the purpose was, simply put, to create a mindset shift, a heart set shift, and a soul set shift in 1 million people, increasing their lifestyle and that of their next generation, thereby leaving behind a legacy. That was the bottom fundamental. Now, why India? I had this urge to go to India because my parents came from India. They migrated ex-India. They were in the medical profession, so they went into Malaysia, and 3 siblings were born from there, and the 3 kids were brought up very well. But one of the things is, I always had this passion to give something back to the country that my parents came from. So when I went to my father and I said, I'm going to India, you know what he said to me? Why India? And I said, what's wrong with India? And he said, I left India in the 40s, and you want to go back now? You're going back to the primitive age. And I said, Dad, what's wrong with you? He said, you're giving up a good family. I said, I'm not giving up a family. My family's still there. You give them a good lifestyle, you drive good cars, you have all the verbal diarrhea about the material things. And I said to him, Dad, you see something. The country gave you and Mom, which we're very happy and grateful for. Now you came over here. Now I'll be very selfish if I don't give something back. I don't know where that came from, Anya. I really don't know where that came from. So I just talked and I said, I want to give something back. He said, okay, go. So I went to India. Story. One-way ticket. You see, this is where you commit. A one-way ticket. I know nobody in India. My relatives are in South India. So I wrote to 25 corporate/Rotary organizations with the intent I'm going to go like this big person, going to get all this work done and stuff like that. Nobody answered except one Rotary Club. I realized what failure is all about. So I said, damn it, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. So I went to this place called Chandigarh, where our friend, some of our friends are from Chandigarh. So I landed in Delhi. Some people came to meet me, friends of friends, picked me up in the car. And I don't know if you like, I love old things. I love antiques. I love old cars, drive old cars, okay? So they picked me up in an Ambassador. And the guy, Ravi is his name. He comes to the airport, he puts a placard. I haven't seen him before. He collects me with my luggage and his driver. And we go to the Ambassador. He sits in the front, the driver's there, and I'm sitting in the back, the baggage is in the boot. And he looks at me and says, are we ready to go? I said, ready, Ravi, we are ready to go when you're ready. The driver puts the key in the ignition and goes, the car doesn't go. Okay, then he takes it out, he goes one more time. The car doesn't go. Now, Ravi, with all his intelligence, he's a director of one of the, what do you call that? DOT, Department of Technology in India. He turns around and he looks at me and he said, Mr. Nair, the car doesn't go. I said to him, that's good deduction, Ravi. I realize the car doesn't go. He said, we have to get up and push, sir. I said, no problem. So I got out, rolled my sleeves, pushed the car, and I said, David, welcome to India. I pushed the car, started it. He took me to a place. Next morning, he came and picked me up, put me on a train to Chandigarh. And that is another story. But that's my start journey of why I got involved with people and why I went to India and what was the transformation on it is another story.
Wow. 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 Well, I know I look forward to hearing that, I mean, the full story of it. And I believe there are going to be more opportunities. But then you birthed this anthology of authors for this book, Grial, Take Your Life Right with Purpose. And I'm wondering, like, I'm in the second edition, there is a first edition, and I went on Google looking at it, and I'm like, wow, this is really amazing. So what was it that, birthed that desire for the book? And in the context that you created it?
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's a very, very vital point for people out there to know this. It is not any book. That's what I want to do. I've preempted. It's not any book.
Okay.
Now, when I landed in India from that story, over 2.5 decades, I went through India and I was fortunate enough. That's why you're following me and you know what I mean by the universe and God and all of that. The universe was on my side all along. For some reason, anything I touched, it was turning into, they call it turning into gold, so to speak.
Oh, yes.
So all of my travels through, from Chandigarh, I had no Rotary Club. The guy that was a host invited me to do a presentation for 45 minutes. I did a lunchtime presentation. I just opened and was transparent, like what I talk normally. And he looked at it and he said, oh. And then he asked a couple of questions from the back. He said, Mr. Nair, do you mind me just asking you a couple of very open questions? I said, please, the floor is yours. You're my host. I'm happy to share with you. And he said, you know something? What you're sharing with us, okay, which you guys are doing in Fire to Wire and in MRM practices, what you're sharing with us, Mr. Nair, our pundits and our prophets and our sages and our gurus here are talking to us to do these things. I said, oh, really? That's very good. But you know what happens? You guys from foreign country, foreign Indians that come in here, you take snippets of what we have, all of this, you go back to your country and you put masala, kisala, kusala, and you come back and you sell it back to us. I said to him, I learned one thing. And I said, what is that? You are not a prophet in your own land.
Yeah.
And he said, wow. So we connected. That's what I'm trying to do. We sort of connected. After lunch, he sat down and said, you wrote so many letters, no response. I said, no response at all, Mr. Ram. And he said, okay, I'll get the Rotary Club. They have certain sergeants of arms and all of it. I'll get my team. After lunch, you sit with us and we'll make calls. So they sat down and they rang pan-India Rotary Clubs for 3 hours. At the end of it, I have 25 appointments in 25 locations.
Wow.
To go and do the talk. The universe is in my side. So how did I get into this? Why did I get into it? Because of that. See, it is in that flow. And there's a book called Flow, guys. If you want to read it, go and pick it up and read. It actually says when your body, mind, and spirit is in sync.
Yeah.
When there is harmony.
Yeah.
Volcano erupts.
Absolutely.
You cannot stop it.
Absolutely.
You cannot stop it.
Absolutely.
That's why I keep telling people, you need to work on you till you can get that synchronity in place. Otherwise, you are playing this game of life. So through that process, I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to cover something like over the last 3 decades, 50 plus top corporate companies in India. The top ones, like Microsoft is a client of mine. Adobe is a client of mine. Google is a client of mine. So those are all based in India. And their participants and their employees needed coaching, needed training, and needed cross-culture sensitization, all of this type of thing, because they're all foreign companies, sorry. So I went through the process of training and coaching them. I have a team of people that we went into different things. As I did that, I was finding it was very hollow. Okay, what do I mean by hollow? Yes, they will go, if there is a communication problem, my team will go talk to them about communication, get it done, and then after some time, they might work with it, they mightn't work with it. Yes, there was a voice and accent training. A couple of my ladies would go and do that, and the VSC programs, after some time, it doesn't work. The business etiquette programs, the cross-culture programs, the leadership programs. Then I was trying to figure out why. And I met a gentleman, I was following this guy since 92, met a gentleman by the name of John Grinder in London. I wanted to do NLP, so I wrote to many places about NLP, and none of them, like I'm a firm writer, you see, so none of them decided to respond to me, but John did. My question to John was very simple. John, there's so much about NLP around the world. How do I know which one to select? And if I select yours, how do I know it's going to fulfill my needs?
That's right.
Very simple, succinct. John is extremely succinct. I worked with him for a number of years. So very succinct guy. He said, David, go where your heart shows congruency. You see the words he used? Now, unless you are in sync with that, you lose it. So I said, oh, wow, I like this guy. So I went and I did the programs with him. And in so doing, John then opened up this concept of not goal setting. Everybody talks about goal setting. He said, unless you have a definite major purpose, and unless you know how to drive these things, it doesn't work. And his transformations come from that. So I learned his methodology. I came back and I defined the purpose. And then I started working with the same batch of 50-odd companies, the 300,000 participants over 26 years, 27 years, showing them purpose. Today, they're scattered across the globe as vice presidents of this company, CEOs of that company, all driving purpose for their organization. So that was my initiation into purpose. Now, when I started running my own programs, because in addition to doing corporate programs, I do stage programs. Before COVID, we were doing face-to-face live programs, nothing like this online. So when I did my programs, I also found the way to get the people passionate about something was to get their defined purpose put in place. So when I ran the first mastermind, we had about 40-odd participants. And the same thing happened. We're doing all these things. There's some of the key players who you know, and they all were supporting in getting this rolling. But there was still something missing. And what was missing is they didn't have what I call the heartbeat. They didn't have their purpose. So that's when Sumana and I sat down. We always talk quite a bit at night. And I sat down with her and I said, listen, I'm not happy with how the mastermind is going. Though they're all excited, they're doing rah, 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 all of that, I'm not happy. She said, what's wrong? She said, I want to drive purpose. You know, how are you going to do it? I said, I want to put a book out. She looked at me, what? Book? I said, yeah. So we mapped out what can we do with a book, and she and I discussed a few things. And through that process, we decided to see who was interested in the first batch of 50 participants for the mastermind to write a book. 30 of them took on the challenge. So we rolled the book on, unknowing what to do. And I am one of these guys, I love challenges. So I said, I don't want to miss out on any opportunity. So any awards that are out there, like first book, author book, we want to get it together such that everybody knows we spent our own money. We didn't take any capital from outside. It was all self-published, blah, 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 all of those stuff. So if you look at the track record, there are 15 first, Grial did 15 first of books. Meaning they were the first with no money brought in. They were the first to do certain things. All of that was there, 15 elements of it. I can't recall what they are. They're all in the website. Now, the interesting thing out of this, when she saw that, she said, oh, wow. She said, we now can drive this. We will do the pagination. We will do everything in-house. And then I said, you know what? There's a little bit of a carrot at the end of it. Why don't we say every penny that we make out of this book is donated to a charity? So that was like icing on the cake. Now that went so well. Okay. So now we then turn around and said, batch one was all contented. I mean, in India, we say they became Maharajas. Tummy is full. They had a good meal and they're sitting down. I said, you guys got to work now. Okay. I want you to play it forward. So we got the second batch. And so now they're coaching our second batch. Now the third batch is on gate waiting. So you guys got to coach the third batch.
Wow.
Okay. So that's how Grial evolved.
Wow.
I hope that makes sense.
Awesome. And okay, so fine. I think what you have said has answered like the third question, but I want to now ask you personally, like, I know that you have a definite major purpose, but what is, like, if I were to ask you, David, what is purpose to you? What would you say?
Okay, very simply put, to me, it's simple things such as this. A person with purpose, when he gets out of bed on a Monday, he won't drag himself out of bed and say, oh my God, I gotta go to work today. My God. No. A person with purpose, which is what I do, I jump out of bed and I said, damn it, I gotta do this. I gotta do this. Why? It's not because I've got a task of things to do. It's because it's in my DNA.
Yep.
I need to go get that. Otherwise, my body will feel lethargic. My mind will feel lethargic. I want to outbeat my father-in-law, not at 91, although I'm 92 years old now. I want to outbeat him to 102. Are you getting my message? It's inside your DNA. It's got to be inside your DNA. And that's what purpose is to me. And so when I talk about purpose to people, like we're doing so many presentations, trying to get people to understand, getting the awareness in the marketplace.
Yes.
Purpose is such a vital thing. Most people are talking purpose, but they are not acting purpose. Okay? Right. Now, it comes from not up here. Purpose comes from in here. I had a coach who said this to me. You go out and you accumulate, not me, he's saying people go out and accumulate knowledge and they get this thing so big, so little. Only when they can transfer that knowledge into their heart. They add the feel factor in it. It then transforms into something new, a different dimension. And when that little thing, that little idea moves from your heart to your guts, Anya, I'm going to ask you, how do you spell guts?
G-U-T-S.
D-U-T-S. The genuine urge to succeed.
Woo!
That comes from your belly.
Wow.
Now, when that comes from your belly, nothing can stop you, lady. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
That's my purpose. That's what I do. I want to find people who can do that. And then I want to find them to go and play it forward for another 2,000 people. And they play it forward for another 20,000 people. And they play it forward for another 400,000 people. Imagine everybody had the same synchronity. What do you think the world is going to be like?
Honestly, it will be marvelous. 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 Right. Obama used to say, drop the mic. I mean, you have said it all.
Thank you.
You have said it all. And I think, what did you say again? Genuine urgency. Genuine urge towards success.
No, genuine urge to succeed.
To succeed. Genuine urge to succeed. I think, look, that is just the clincher right there. That's just the clincher right there. Thank you so much, David. Thank you for your time and your willingness to contribute, so much to humanity. I am one of the beneficiaries, and I am so glad, because when I first saw you, you seemed so far, like, okay, it's just somebody that, hi. Now I'm like under your umbrella. I'm so happy. So
Thank
thank you for sharing your wisdom, your experience, and helping all of us to grow. And for paying it
it's my
forward,
pleasure.
to people like us who I'm also paying forward to other people. I know the universe will reward you.
Oh, that's fine. Thank you so much. But I really think, you're doing a great job. Not only here, but I've seen you in Firewire working with Enda and all the others. You're doing a fantastic job. Continue on that, and then you'll see it'll take some time. That's why I keep telling people, when something happens and you fall, don't focus on the fall. You fall 5 times, you get up 6 times. You fall 7 times, you get up 8 times. And you keep doing that, because one day you'll break that, and then you'll never need to fall. You will fall once or twice. It's okay, but then you keep going because you got a habit of keeping going. Your neuroplasticity in your brain is already reconditioned.
Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank
you for having me. And I
day.
wish you the best in this 42 interviews that you're going to do from today.
Thank you. I need it.
Good. Take care now.
All right. Bye-bye.